Welcome. This is Lynda, and I'm so happy you're back with me. This series of videos is made especially for those who feel that they are beginners in the slow stitch arena and the textile arts. Slow stitch and textile art to me basically are the same thing because I use them both at the same time. And so that's basically my style, that I do a lot of textile art pieces, but I do it all with the slow stitch method. I don't machine stitch it. And I use a few embroidery stitches, but I limit them. And basically I'm just stitching, which is really conducive for beginners. The two things that I wanted to talk about in this video, especially for you, is first of all to remember to keep it simple. You remember we started to create this with two already prepared elements. We cut them out of old clothing and we put those down. And now with one stitch, just a straight stitch or running stitch or however you want to call it, we can embellish this. We don't have to get complicated. Whatever seems like it would take, whatever strikes your fancy, whatever supplies that you have, that's what you work with. As you can see, I have added two more pieces distinctively, and that's this little piece of trim that is acting like a stem. This motif here that I have folded back, which is going to be my flower element, which we will work with in the next video. And I added this little piece. I cut this little piece out of a sequin fabric. Let me raise that up so you can see it. Right here, and I just stitched it on. I cut another piece and I turned it upside down. This one, all the little sequins show, but when I turned it upside down, only the metallic thread shows on this side. So it has two different looks, but it's the same fabric. I stitched them two different ways. This one is straight down the center. This one is just angle stitches on both sides with two different colors. Very, 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 very simple. Nothing complicated. When you first look at it, it doesn't look like it's simple, but it is. You started with something already made. You laid a little bit of embellishment on it. You used a straight stitch to put it down. It's very simple. Now this piece, remember this piece? It had the little motif on it that was already like a flower. Let me see if I can bring you up. There you go. And so all I did with that again was straight stitch. And I just did some stitching. I did a little heavier on both ends, just to kind of accentuate the beginning and the end. And I just couched over it with different colors. This one I'm going to leave just about like it is because the flower is going to cover most of that. And I thought that I don't really need that one all embellished. Okay. Now I found this thread that has this little glitz, and I thought, okay, I'm going to work that up the center. If you can see, I've got this fabric scrunched up and pinned. I'm going to leave it wrinkled like that and stitch it in like that to give a little more interest. Okay, very simple. Nothing I'm doing here is hard, and I'm only using one stitch so far. Okay, so let me get that started, and then we'll talk about the second thing that I wanted to share with you today. And basically these points are just things that I've learned over the years that's helped me to relax and enjoy what I do, and to understand who I am and what my art and style is. if you don't understand you, no, you can't expect anyone else to. So you need to learn who you are. What is your style? If you don't know yet, that's okay because you're beginning. But as you work along, you'll figure out, this is what I like. This is what I want to do. And it can be, for instance, I'm a slow stitcher, yes. But I'm also a textile artist, yes. Am I a designer? Yes, I design all my own things. Do I do other things? You bet. I've worked in embroidery quite a bit, and I enjoy it, but most of the time, I don't love just doing all the extra stitching. I love to look at embroidery, especially beautifully artisan ones, but I don't really like producing those myself, if that makes sense. I think it's because I'm impatient. I know me, and I know that I don't like to spend, 6 months on one project, on one piece, let's say. I have done that in the past with fiber art pieces. I have worked art quilts, and so over the time I realized that I don't like spending lengthy amounts of time on something. I want something that I can finish reasonably well within my patience level. So know yourself. Know what you like and don't like. Otherwise, you'll be doing things you don't like, and that's why a lot of crafters give up, quit what they're doing, because the truth is they really don't like what they're doing. So they need to know themselves and not put themselves through things that they don't like. The second part, like I said, that I wanted to talk about today was knowing yourself. And one very important thing is knowing whether you're a plotter or a pantser. Now, what I mean by that, as a writer, those are terms that writers are very familiar with. A plotter is a person that outlines their entire story before they begin. They know the beginning, they know the end, they know all the pivotal points in between, they know their characters inside out. They have plotted out their entire story before they start to write. And a lot of textile designers, slow stitchers, are the same way. They like to plot out their projects before they begin. They don't like any surprises. They like to know where the beginning is, what they're going to do in between, and what they're going to end up with. And they don't veer from it. They don't change it. It's plotted out, and that's how it's built. Well, the other one is a pantser. And that person, as a writer, writes by the seat of their pants. They have an idea. I'm a pantser writer. I have an idea. I have usually 2 characters in mind when I start. And I know already, since I write basically happy ever after romance, I know it's all going to turn out well. So what I do in the beginning, because I'm also a character-driven writer, I figure out what my characters are like, what their problems are, what they want more than anything else, what they're willing to sacrifice to get it, what their good points and bad points are, and why in the beginning they're not going to like each other. They're going to strike each other wrong. And that's about where I start. And so I'll set up a first seam, usually where they meet the first time. Some disaster goes wrong. They don't like each other off right out of the gate. And then I build from there. But I build it as I write it. If that makes sense, I write as, for instance, I'm writing one seam. When that seam closes, I think, what's the natural progression for this? And I thought, okay, let me do that. And I go there next. I don't know where I'm going until I get at that point where I need to make a direction. I don't know exactly how this story is going to end until I get to the end. That's how a pantser writes. A pantser in crafting is the same way. Pantsers usually work off of emotion, inspiration. They work in the moment. Whatever strikes them is what they do. And they can change direction on a dime because there's nothing plotted out. And so I'm also a pantser when it comes to my crafting. I just work in the moment, whatever seems right. For instance, I don't plan out exactly what's going in here. I don't plan out exactly what threads I'm going to use. I'm just in the moment. Whatever is there, whatever I see, whatever strikes me, whatever I think will work good with what I'm doing right now is how I work. So you need to understand you and how you work. A plotter will usually have a very clean desk, and when they're working on a project, just what they're going to use on that project is what's on their desk at that moment, because anything else to them is distracting. For a pantser like me, my desk is a total chaos. That's because I want as much around me that I can see as I can get reasonably and still have room to work, because I work by what I see. And I will pull out something, but then I look around me and see, okay, what strikes me? What do I have that I could start here with? And so I have tons of stuff around me. It's over my head, it's in front of me, on both sides of me, it's beside me in tubs, and it's just everywhere. But I want it there. I want that chaos, because out of that chaos I work really well. And so decide what kind of person you are, because it's going to affect your work. If I tried to be if I tried to plot, I would be anxious all the time. I would be just, okay, let's hurry up and get this done, because I already know everything about it. Now I'm bored. And I know me, that's the way I am. So I don't try to create that way. I don't usually like guidelines and kits and things like that, because I have a hard time following them anyway. I'm always striking out on my own path. So I think, well, why did I spend the money to buy a kit when I'm not going to follow it? And but I have to say that this arena is about half and half. There's about half of us that work like I do, and about half of us that work like a plotter. So there's no right and wrong. Never think that it's right or wrong to be either one. It's just reality. It's just how we work. And so you want to think about that. Now, as you can see, I am using these folds to work like little extensions of the vein that goes down the stem. That yarn that I couch down, to me, in my mind, it works like the vein that goes down the stem. So it's like this is a flower, but it's also a leaf at the same time. And because I'm a pantser, I can get by with that. And also, remember, there are no creative police around here to tell me that I can't. Okay? Let's get this little... I'm thinking that I'm not going to sew down the edges if what I'm thinking is going to work here works. And so I believe I'll have it all stitched down tightly enough that I don't have to do the edges, and that gives a little bit more free flow feeling. I hope those 2 points today have helped you to, the first one, to keep it simple, and then to know you. Are you a pantser or a plotter? How do you approach your work? Get comfortable. Once you realize who you are, get comfortable with that and work within that parameter. An example of having trouble with that is before I realized that I was a pantser, when it came to crafting, I felt always guilty about how messy my desk looked and how my stuff was everywhere out in plain view. And it wasn't up in little containers and nice little stacks and looked like the perfect, craft room. Mine looks like the perfect disaster. And I always felt guilty about that. And I thought, this is terrible. Why can't you clean up, Lynda? But when I realized that is my creative zone, that is how I get inspiration and ideas, by what I see around me, then it became okay. And I relaxed within my own craft room. And isn't that important? And I don't apologize for it. Now, I'm not saying that I'm not clean. I am. I do rearrange the stacks and clean the dust. But I have to have it that way. So know who you are so you're comfortable in your own skin when you work. Okay? All right. We're going to... keep finding these little things. Okay. I'm going to leave that here for this video today. Gives you an idea of how you can take 1 or 2 simple things pre-made, add a couple of elements, then use some thread to straight stitch and embellish a little bit, and you come up with something that falls into the textile art arena. Okay, next video I will be working on the flower motif and also showing you this raggy look here that I'm going to be doing in the background. And we will be talking about a couple of more points that I think that will really ring with you as beginners, and you'll know more about how you want to start your projects. I'm going to talk about starting projects next video. So I hope you enjoyed this, and until next time, please stay scrap happy.